to Jonesing. So look, I woke up this morning. I seen that Chronicles of Olivia made a new video about an anonymous person that was at the party coming forward. This video is going to be pretty much just clips of Olivia's video. I will tag her, I will give her credit, and then my own clips as well, just trying to dissect different little things. Chronicles of Olivia, man, she's got her shit together. You hear me? She got her shit together. Her videos are so good. We are going to discuss what the Jane Doe, the anonymous person, told Olivia about the night that she was at the party and had seen Kylie Rodney, okay? What are you barking at? Let's get to it, shall we?
Oh, behave!
I want to tell you who I think doesn't have anything to do with her going missing, per se. That would be Jagger, Sammy, Kate, Mags, and Kylie Rodney's family. Sammy, the only thing I think she's guilty of is leaving her friend, knowing that she was drunk. She said she knew she was drunk before she left. And for using Kylie Rodney's disappearance as a way for her to get attention. Because she did that. Now, to me, the Jagger and Kate thing, where somebody said a Snapchat was sent and Kate said she was sleeping with Jagger, that don't mean shit to me. I mean, maybe it does to some people. I can see why it would to some people. But in my mind, it's just like, okay. So now let's look into a few of the anonymous tips or, anonymous kids that were at the party.
Remember the one teenager who told her parents that she had seen Kylie and she couldn't walk or speak? I'm curious to know what time of the night this occurred at.
I'm curious to know that as well, because it would give us some kind of timeline of how quick or how slow Kylie Rodney got up at this party. Now, this next one is from Jane Doe number 2, with most recent interview that was given to Chronicles of Olivia.
When I spoke to Kylie that night, she was severely intoxicated. Like, she had been stumbling, her speech was slurring. But I also don't know her well, so I don't know her normal behavior. She did mention having a ride, but she was alone and it was dark when I talked to her. I don't know about the shrooms. I didn't see Kylie drink or smoke, but she did smell strongly of alcohol and was having a hard time walking straight, and her speaking was slow.
Like what? Third witnesses for what?
I was trying to make this new part of the video. My husband thought I was talking to him. So anyways, we got 4 eyewitness accounts. The 2 cousins of Ronnie, the one girl that told her parents what she seen, and then this new Jane Doe, right? Jane Doe number 2. Everybody's out there drinking and doing God knows what else. So yeah, she's up. She's wasted. I don't think it would have been anything like meth or anything like that, because meth and cocaine, they sober you up. If it was anything, it would have to be something like fentanyl or shrooms. And you heard shrooms brought up in the Jane Doe interview.
I don't know about the shrooms.
But we don't know 100%, but I could totally see. We know she smokes. We know she drinks. It's not that far-fetched to think that her and her friends were into that, okay? So right now we know Kylie's allegedly up. So let's hear some examples of teens being teens, okay? And sometimes just not making any sense at all.
I noticed that a lot of people have commented that there aren't many photos and videos from that night, and it's true. A lot of kids up here don't spend their time on their phones at parties.
They don't spend their time on their phones at the parties because they're getting fucked up. I mean, when you're partying, your phone is the last thing you're fucking thinking about. From my experience, at least. Because I was never worried about my phone.
A lot of kids also started to pick up the glow sticks and throw them at each other, which was making some people really mad.
Kids are picking up glow sticks and throwing them at each other. This is important because it shows the mindset. It makes you remember these are children. These are kids. They don't even have the brain capacity to think things through in this moment, right? So, on top of not having a mature-ass brain, there's drinking and drugging and driving. So I know damn well, anytime we have a group party or a get-together, we ain't throwing glow sticks. Hell, the only time we get glow sticks for a party is for like New Year's or 4th of July or something like that. And let's just use that as an example. If you did have adults at a party with glow sticks, you wouldn't see them throwing them at each other, right? We're mature. Mostly. And the last thing I have that points out how these are just teens being teens are the fights. Look.
That night, the background of it is a picture of a fight from earlier this year at a party, because they're very common up here. People always bring boxing gloves to parties, and friends box each other for fun, but it's always friends. Like, there's never any ill intention in these matches. There are always kids mediating these box fights and are there to break them up if they need to, and there's always the biggest rule during these is you're not allowed to hit the other person in the head or the face.
Now hear me out. Friendly fights, it's always between friends. Always. There are always other kids mediating. How can a damn kid mediate shit? They're kids. But that's how grown they think they are. And then the biggest rule made by these kids is no hitting in the head or face. Now, the fight shown in this clip, like she said, was one from a previous party. I don't know about you, but I seen some heads and faces getting hit. Look. So you mean to tell me these teens break rules that these other teens put in place, these mediators? How dare they? That's why I don't like kids. They don't make no sense. And now let's move on to all of the unknown teens that were at this party. Because the general consensus is
Jesus.
From the kids that have came forward and spoke, which are few and far between, the consensus is that there were a lot of unknown teens that the local teens did not know. That is important. Let's watch.
There were around 200 people. It's not very usual to see this at a party, especially at Sanctuary, because the road is so rough. People hate partying out there. Around 10, a huge group of people showed up. A friend of mine was leading them. She said, I don't know any of these kids, but they were all down on the road by the intersection because they had no clue where to go. So I led them to the right place. My guess is that these kids must have not been from Truckee. They were from the Tahoe region, around Incline mostly, and maybe some North Tahoe kids, because most Truckee and a lot of North Tahoe kids know where Sanctuary is because it is a popular spot for us.
That just leaves air and opportunity for something bad to happen. So now let's talk about when Jane Doe went to leave.
She did mention having a ride, but she was alone and it was dark when I talked to her. People have also commented about kids not seeing things, and the moon was bright that night, but Sanctuary is under trees, and I had a hard time seeing.
Kinda sus. Why is it that every time somebody seen Kylie or came into contact with her, Kylie was alone? She wasn't like partnering up and hanging out with anybody that night, from what it seems.
A boy had pulled his car onto the dirt road, like the main road to get in and out of Sanctuary, and there were boys yelling and screaming at each other, like in an aggressive way, not like a fun way.
So, sometime in the night before our Jane Doe number 2 decides to leave the party, there was some kind of commotion at the entrance to and from the sanctuary. The party. Okay? It doesn't really have much to do with anything, except it's good to note that there were people being aggressive out there, because this feller's car broke down at the entrance to and from the party. So now let's see, when our Jane Doe did decide to leave the party, how she went about doing that.
My ride had parked their car all the way back on the paved road, so we had to walk all the way down the dirt road to get back. While we were walking, there was a group of boys walking in the same direction as us, and my ride knew them.
Okay.
At the Y intersection, my ride and I went left of the car, and the boys went right because they had parked that way. So a lot of kids had parked over by the water over there, and I'm guessing they were part of the big group of kids who showed up earlier in the night that didn't know where they were going, so they parked down there and walked up when my friend walked up, when she showed them how. But most of the cars were up at the actual sanctuary. I reached my ride's car around 1 in the morning, back on the pavement, and I was never passed by a car on the dirt road or saw a car on my walk to my ride. No headlights, nothing.
So if it was foul play, somebody grabbed her, cut her phone off, or her phone died and then somebody grabbed her and didn't leave until after 1 o'clock. And that would only be correct if what the AAA guy said was right. If it was an accident, she could have left at 12:36 and Jane Doe number 2 would have never known, because she would have went right out of the sanctuary instead of left. And I swear to God, it's the same speculation. The difference is that time, that little tiny time frame from 12:36 to 1 a.m. We know she didn't go to the left before 1 a.m. Whether she was kidnapped or not, she didn't go to the left before 1 a.m. Now, if she was kidnapped, she could have went to the left after 1 a.m. Jane Doe wouldn't know. I think she had to, if it was an accident, and if she did indeed drive into that water and went down that bumpy ass road to get there, she would have had to been on some like hallucinogenics, like shrooms or something. Like you're in a whole nother world.
Wow!
If you're drunk and high enough, that causes blackout. And if you're blacked out, like, you ain't driving. But then if she was on something euphoric, something that makes you hallucinate, she wouldn't have been able to make it down to that water, in my opinion, because she would be in a whole nother world. That's why it's called a hallucinogenic. That's why it's called euphoric. You're in a whole nother world. You don't know what you're doing. She could have pulled out, if it was an accident, she could have pulled out and went right towards the water. If you're up out of your mind like that, you might think you see a shitting unicorn to the left and want to get to it. And then she would have drove up into the brush and stuff. So, I mean, I just don't know. Here's one more thing to ponder. Could her car have made it down this trail? Or is it too thin? Because that's the only other way out of the sanctuary party area. If she went down this trail, she would have came out on a very slanted embankment. Drove around. She wouldn't have had to drive far. You'll see that in the next picture. Could have been on that embankment, driving to where her car was found, flipped, and continued into the water. If she went down that trail instead of going out the main party road. It just doesn't make sense. I don't know. It's not much, but it's a little bit of something. I don't know. Tell me what y'all think, because I have no clue. But that's my 2 theories. 2 or 3 theories. Who's counting?
Thanks for watching my video.
Don't forget to like, even if you didn't like it. Okay, love ya.
Bye.